America has a new law about marriage because the U.S. Supreme Court has spoken. I disagree with their decision. I do not believe it was a sound ruling based on historical or legal precedent or reasoning, but it is now the law of the land. What I am addressing today is the question of whether religious liberty of Kentucky citizens will be denied, and in particular, Kentucky government employees. Will they be denied because of wrongful interpretation of the marriage ruling? Clearly, the word marriage is not in the Constitution, and marriage is not an enumerated right in the Constitution. But religious liberty is guaranteed by the First Amendment. In fact, it's the first part of the First Amendment. No part of true religious liberty must be lost in the overall discussion of marriage following the ruling. It is my understanding that a lawsuit has already been filed against the county clerk of Rowan County, Kim Davis, requiring that she abandon her sincerely held religious beliefs and participate in same-sex marriage by authorizing a marriage license. This is as unfortunate as it is un-American. Even in times of war, when the very existence of the United States is in question, America has never required the conscientious objector to pull a trigger. In this marriage matter, there is no reason for the force of government to come against the citizens and workers that have deeply held religious convictions. Therefore, first, as the Executive Director of the Family Foundation, I call upon the Governor to act to protect those who work for him in state and county government. I ask that he consider an executive order that some governors have already done. Or I ask that he consider calling a special session of the General Assembly to get clear direction from the people's branch of government regarding marriage. Or I ask that he act in some other responsible way that the American distinctive called religious liberty will be preserved. Secondly, I would like to announce the establishment of the Kentucky Religious Liberty Defense Fund that will be used for the legal defense of those targeted to have their religious liberties curtailed, and also for legislative measures that will ensure religious liberty for all. This includes government workers, such as county clerks, who are under fire now, and others, such as pastors, when their First Amendment rights are legally contested. Make no mistake, this is not a protest against the Supreme Court's decision. It is not a clever effort to circumvent the court's ruling. And it certainly is not an attempt to protect discrimination against same-sex couples. It is, however, a sincere effort to uphold what has always made America different from all other nations, the fact that our rights come from God, and those rights cannot be abridged by any force, nor by any power, nor by any manipulation on earth. Are there any questions?
Yeah. How much money are you hoping to raise? Have you raised any so far?
We are just announcing this. We have not raised any funds at this point, and we'll raise as much as people desire to give.
Is it tax deductible?
This is a tax deductible gift like any other legal defense would be.
Will 100% of the money go for this?
100% of the money that's received will go to the legal defense fund for legal matters and legislative matters.
Have you offered to defend Mr. Davis or the other clerk?
We have been in touch with him, and he has a number of choices that he wants to make as to who would defend him. The Family Foundation is not a legal organization, but we do work with an attorney who's very capable, and if Casey would want us to be involved in his defense, we would certainly consider
So you wouldn't defend him yourself, but you might get help pay.
I am not an attorney.
Right, but you might get help pay for some of the bills.
Exactly right, yes. The Family Foundation is not becoming a legal defense organization.
Really, if you would, what you want the governor to do exactly?
Basically, what we desire is to see the government work in such a way to accommodate his workers. And that, of course, was the focus of the 2013 Religious Freedom Restoration Act, where government can do certain things, but it needs to do its best to accommodate the religious convictions of those that it's affecting. In the particular case, it was the group that had the orange triangle signs in the back of their buggies, and the Amish. And they did not like the signs, and they certainly didn't like bright orange because they tried to stay out of the spotlight. And they were accommodated by government when the government said, let's just put a silver triangle on the back. That will protect you and accomplish our goal, but it won't make you all uncomfortable about your convictions. You see the accommodation there in that aspect? That's how government should work to protect everyone. Those in this case who are desiring to have a same-sex marriage license, that's now the law of the land, but also the county clerks and others that could be forced against their will and against their convictions to have to participate.
So what kind of accommodation should be made here?
Well, any accommodation that the governor comes up with. I just heard the county clerk suggest that maybe getting marriage licenses online, and therefore he would not have to sign his name and participate. That is one option. There may be many others.
Like that idea?
That's not a bad idea.
But if necessary, as Casey indicated, you wouldn't mind the governor calling a special session on this.
Well, when you consider the fact that 106 of our 138 legislators signed an amicus brief saying they wanted traditional marriage protected. That's 106 out of 138. They have concerns, and so their deliberation as the people's representatives would not be a bad solution. In fact, it would take it off the governor's shoulders if he wanted to give it to the General Assembly. So there's a number of different options, and I'm sure there are many more than I could ever come up with, and that's what the legislature's for.
So this fund, this money, say, okay, the ACLU has already sued one county clerk.
Okay, and that I believe would be Kim Davis up in Rowan County.
Right. So instead of the county taxpayers paying the legal bill, this defense fund would pay it?
Could possibly be involved. I'm not suggesting that we can pay every dollar of every need, because I don't know how much money will ultimately be in the fund. But we want to protect religious liberty, in particular the religious liberty of the individuals that are under fire. One other thing that I might mention, when you consider a number of what I would say bad rulings by the Supreme Court, with the Dred Scott decision in 1857, decided 7-2, they said that Africans in these United States held as slaves could not go to court to defend themselves because they weren't U.S. citizens. That was a bad decision, but it did not require anyone to participate in the slave trade. No government worker had to participate in the slave trade. Similarly, in my opinion, in 1973, Roe versus Wade was decided. A 7-2 decision, I believe a bad decision. But it did not require any government worker against their conscience to participate in abortion. In this case, as I've already mentioned, I suspect this decision is wrongfully decided. And it should not require any government worker or any other American to violate their conscience to participate in something that they believe is not holy.
But you said it is the law of the land.
It is the law of the land.
So are you advocating people to break the law of the land?
No, we're saying that what we would like to do is protect religious liberty. If they are being chafed by this law, then they may have a religious liberty argument. Any other questions? Thank you very much for your time.
Would this be public record with the defense fund, like who gives?
Haven't even considered that.